Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our latest edition of Facebook Live. We are lucky this evening to be joined by Mr. Michael Dudek, who is the principal at Blackstone Millville Regional High School, and is going to be sharing with us this evening quite a bit about our high school and really looking at the different programs and opportunities afforded to our students through the high school. And so we thank you for welcoming us into your home and spending a little bit of your Monday evening with us. And with that, we'll turn it over to you, Mr. Dudek.
Good evening, everybody. This is our first Facebook Live for me, so this will definitely be an experience. But I just wanted to start off by talking about the purpose and the vision for the district and the high school. And we're looking to develop happy, healthy, proficient students who are prepared for college, career, and community. And the reason why I share that is because I think that's at the forefront of the high school, in particular, knowing that we have students for 4 years prior to them walking off the graduation stage and going into the real world, into college, career, military, and so forth. And for us, we've made it a point to really think about before our students graduate, what is it that they're going to add to the and when we talk about the diploma, receiving a diploma, and that's a big focus for us because we want students to have secondary plans as soon as they graduate from high school, and that's going to be a big piece that we're looking at. So I'm not sure how many of you watched the school committee meeting that we had where we presented our school improvement plan, but I figured that I could talk a little bit about the priorities. I'll try to be as short and concise as possible to discuss that. But one of the big pieces, or there's 4 elements that we mentioned. One is the what, which is the curriculum. And a few pieces to that I wanted to talk about was thinking about implementing and revising our science curriculum. That's something that we've been doing for the last year. We've taken on that as a challenge for ourselves, and a good challenge. We've also been looking and researching and piloting our literacy program for us to be able to examine in our ELA department. The other piece is just thinking about strengthening our core curriculum in general. And that's really thinking about identifying some best practices and conducting some instructional rounds with our staff and administration to get a better handle of what it is that we're doing in the classrooms every single day and every single subject. The other piece for the what is thinking about our semester assessments. So there is a little change in terms of what that will look like. But essentially, we want students to be able to demonstrate what they know. And so we are developing some semester authentic assessments this year. And we'll be rolling that out with midterms and finals. Our counseling department is looking at a formal college and career readiness curriculum. And we are actually sending a team of 4 to a DESE workshop on Wednesday to really examine that. And that's a 3-day series on college and career readiness. And then finally, in terms of the what, we want to look at our Project Lead the Way grants that we will be applying for, and I'll talk a little bit about Project Lead the Way. But we also have our manufacturing pipeline that Dr. DeFalco and superintendents in the Valley were able to establish through the Blackstone Ed Foundation, and we have, I believe, 5 freshmen in that cohort of 18 that are in that on Tuesday nights. And that's just another extended learning opportunity for our kiddos. When we think about the how, this is really the instruction piece. Our instruction focus is looking at problem solving and critical thinking. How do we truly embed that into everyday curriculum and really strengthen that? And that's been a focus that we've been working on in the district K-12. So you'll see that and are most likely familiar with that if you have any sons or daughters down in the lower levels. We also are just thinking about what best practices we want to examine, pilot, and introduce to our students. So right now we're looking at annotation for the first few months and really think about interacting with sources. So that doesn't need to be a poem or a textbook. It could be a visual, it could be media. And that's just something that we really feel is going to help in terms of critical thinking and problem solving to strengthten that.
Can I ask you one question on that,
yes.
Mr. Dudek? I hate to interrupt your flow here, but I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about how you mentioned that critical thinking and problem solving is the focus, the instructional focus for the high school, actually in all the schools, to be frank. But can you share a little bit about how you came to that conclusion? Was it you in your office one day and you thought, this makes sense, or was there a little bit more of a process to that?
There was a process, and we actually started that work last year. So we have an ILT, instructional learning team, that came together to look at our STAR data, which is another part of what we're looking to do in terms of targeted instruction and reinforcement and intervention. But our ILT got together and we went through a protocol, a data analysis protocol, red flag protocol. We looked at our ELA and math STAR data, identified a bunch of skills and standards that we felt our students could do a lot better in, and said, as soon as we identified those, we tried to think about a through line or an alignment of what is it that we could do as a whole school community and every student, every content area to really build on that. And that was the focus that we looked at when it came to just writing, to close reading, to problem solving in math, bio, and ELA. And that's the consensus that our staff came up with, and there is buy-in there. And I believe that critical thinking analysis piece is going to really align with what we're doing.
Great. Appreciate the explanation.
No
Thanks.
problem. So next on our list, we have the whole child. And so again, we're looking here at trying to minimize non-academic barriers as much as possible. We are looking at social emotional learning. That is a forefront of what we're looking to do through an implementation of the Choose Love program that we were able to roll out to all of our students. So there's 4 themes that we're looking on and taking on to embed social emotional learning for our students. So the first one is looking at courage. We're looking at gratitude, forgiveness, and compassion, and that'll be a year-long project to really delve into into that platform and really getting our students to be prepared to learn. And that social emotional component is a big thing in the state and the district. So I'm glad that we have that at the forefront.
And again, just if you don't mind, how did you get to the point where, because we're using this in our other schools too.
Correct. Yeah.
Right, so we've moved away from being a system of individual schools to a school system.
Correct.
Right, that has a really aligned kind of purpose and focus. But even down to looking at this program. Can you talk a little bit about how we kind of got to this point? Because there's a lot of work that you and other teachers and counselors and administrators put into that.
Sure. So I think there was a group called the SEL. I forget the program that we were in, but it was it was through the state. Looking at SEL competencies and framework and how do we align districts with that piece. And we joined where we applied for the grants, and we were accepted last year for it. And we sent a team, our SEL district team, that was composed of counselors and teachers and administrators from across the districts to really focus in on what does SEL look like in our building, what are some norms and definitions, and how could we roll that out in our building without putting something in addition to our teachers. So that was a whole year process last year. The district came together, came up with a game plan in terms of how we could roll that out over the summer. And that's come to fruition in terms of our general rollout. And right now that district SEL team has now turned into building-based SEL teams. And the Choose Love program was just something that we were able to find through some research. It's a great curriculum that embeds all the competencies, but it also aligns well with the themes of those 4 simple themes, K-12. And our teachers are exploring the online curriculum, embedding that into their classrooms and thinking about school-wide functions and events to embrace that a little bit more. So that's been a great initiative for us.
So that was about a year of planning to
It
get
was.
to the implementation stage that we're at now.
Correct, yes.
And I think if I remember correctly, one of the first things that a lot of the schools did, and I think the high school did this a little bit different because the kids are older, so I definitely understand that, but was really kind of developing this common language about how we talk about some of these things. Because I think the gist of this kind of focus on the whole child and removing those non-academic barriers and minimizing those, as you mentioned, is really helping students understand that sense of self and what those emotions feel like and how to manage those, and to really be kind of productive and positive in terms of the contributions in the classroom and the school and outside of school, with their families and friends. And so I know that the team that you and Ms. Kurt led did a ton of work on this to really get to a place where we can implement. So kudos to all of you for that, because it was a big lift.
Yeah, no, and just to extend off that, when the cohort that we were a part of, I think there were about seven or eight different districts, varying rural, urban, close to Blackstone, some that were in Western Mass, really taking this on, and we were all at different levels and different abilities, and for us, I think the ability to be able to network and come up with a strategic plan on what SEL could look like, knowing that it was relatively new, but just really taking that on as a priority.
Yeah.
We've heard about SEL in the past.
Kind of turned into kind of a buzz term, right?
Correct,
Like everything
yeah.
was that SEL, social emotional learning, and
Yeah.
but what were people doing with it, right?
Exactly. And it's not just a want, it's definitely a need that our students and our staff, I'll add staff to that, really need to be happy and healthy before they could actually learn and teach, and that has really been just a great thing for the last couple weeks that we've truly formally introduced that to our students. Yeah, absolutely. The other piece in terms of the whole child is, again, thinking about minimizing non-academic barriers. So at the high school, we have an accountability team that we meet on a monthly basis with administrators, guidance, and teachers to really think about or talk about some of those barriers to learning. So when we think about dropout rates and attendance rates and discipline, those are all things that we put on the table and discuss to identify who are our students that are struggling the most and what kind of case management supports we can provide to them. And that's really helped. Just looking at initial numbers, I believe our attendance rate has improved. Dropout rate looks pretty good with graduation rates. And those are the elements that we knew were out there. We just didn't really have a focused attention span on that until last year. And I'm glad to say that work is happening as well.
And what I hear you saying is the high school bringing in, and I know there's still another piece to this, to both the whole child and the next phase, but what I'm hearing you say, Mike, is that the high school is becoming very focused around strengthening its core curriculum, as kind of you've outlined here, but then also expanding opportunities for kids, like advanced manufacturing, like something through Project Lead the Way, which will ultimately be determined with you and the staff and the students in terms of what kind of career path we want to build at the high school, and then looking at the how of the learning, so the instructional side and helping kids become really deep thinkers and critical thinkers, and then shifting to helping them become really good people and understanding that sense of self. Am I understanding this kind of correctly in terms of the focus areas?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yep. And then just finally, the last piece in terms of community. Community is really important to us. And we appreciate the town and the support that they give to all of the schools around here. But some of the things that we really need to take on at the high school is thinking about how do we showcase the work of our students. We have some talented students in our building, and how do we really showcase that through community events, and I'm looking for any ideas from staff, students, community members on what it is that we can do to be able to open our doors at the high school and be able to show that, because there are, once again, talented students. There's a ton of programs and various opportunities that we allow our students to get into. The other work that we've just started was the development of our Portrait of a Graduate profile.
Talk a little bit about that. That's really interesting.
So I think at the end of the day, we need a community of learners to think about when students walk in our doors, whether it's preschool or kindergarten, and by the time that they graduate, what is it that we are looking for in terms of qualities, skills, abilities, competencies, attributes for our students. So when they turn 18 and walk across that stage, we should have a formal definition, norm, vision of what our students should be when they come out of Blackstone Millville. And that's some of the work that we're doing now. We did some learning walks across all buildings to see what teaching and learning looks like. And for me, it's a valuable opportunity for us to think about where are we today and where we need to go tomorrow in order for us to truly define teaching and learning so that students are, quote, college, career, and community ready.
And can you share a little bit? So you mentioned there's a team that you did some learning walks and some other things. So who are the groups at the table? Who are the folks that are participating in this work and helping you as the head of the school really define, like, Mike, here are the qualities and skills and competencies that we need in our graduates.
Absolutely.
So what are those groups there?
So if I miss anyone, please let me know. But I believe we have, we have 3 high school teachers that are on board from various departments. We have administration from the high school, from the middle school, one from the elementary school. We also have some of our students that are on there. So we have 2 students right now, or 3 students that are on there at the high school level, and then we have a few community members and school committee members that are part of that. So we have a nice mix and a nice group of community. We call it our learning team because we are learning together and understanding where we are as a district.
You mentioned there's the high school, middle school, and elementary school administration.
Correct.
Can you talk about the why? Why do we have middle school administration, elementary administration on this team? That's interesting.
It is, but
different.
But I think, again, like I mentioned earlier, that the high school, we only have 4 years with these students, and a lot of freshmen that come in and say this is a long 4 years, but they quickly realize that the 4 years...
Blink and it's over.
Yes, they quickly realize that 4 years goes by, and these kids that we have in our buildings are coming from our elementary and middle school years, and we need to really build that foundation of teaching and learning for all of our students, and that needs to start on day one when they walk in the building. Whatever grade that is, whether they're coming in school choice or transferring in, or they've been in town and they're starting in their pre-K years. But that piece is really fundamental because we are looking to do a K-12, pre-K-12 curriculum, Alliance curriculum that is getting students to really think about how they can stay creative, be engaged in what they're doing. Really looking at higher level work so that they're not caught off guard or surprised when they head over to the middle school and it's more, or it's intensive work, or they come to the high school and they're saying we're not completely prepared. We want that transition from whatever building they're coming through or grade level to be as smooth as possible. So that alignment, to me, I think is fundamental for their success.
Yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate you kind of explaining that, because I don't know if that makes sense to everybody when you think about it that way. It's like, okay, so, making sure that the elementary principal knows and elementary school, teachers and faculty know that, like, the end result, we're looking at this, right? Because we're in people work, so we don't always look at it that way, but what I'm hearing you say is there is a set kind of bucket of things that we want our kids to know and be able to do, and really how to kind of add their piece to the world. And it means something to be a BMR grad, right? So you want to start that work all the way in the elementary school.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Makes sense.
And I think that the work that our science team has done and the literacy team is it's really been focused in on the work, but they're also seeing strands that are common pre-K-12. I mean, there's a lot of, not that we're saying that we're repeating a lot of the work while we're moving ahead, but there are very similar strands that start at a very simple level that only extend themselves when we think about that vertical alignment. So it doesn't just start, at a higher grade level, and the expectation is that students are working at at an increased level, that needs to happen, and that culture truly needs to build. That culture of learning needs to happen at the lowest level as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So just the other piece is just thinking about, we talk about college and career readiness, but we want to really increase our partnerships with colleges, with careers, with businesses, in order to have our students have any opportunities that they can. The last couple of years, we have been focusing on fourth quarter internships for our seniors, and possibly looking at underclassmen about what is it that they truly want to get themselves into, and what real world experiences can they receive. And I think just being in a smaller community, it's sometimes a little difficult to be able to find those partnerships.
Sure.
But that's not something that what we're afraid to do. I think any challenge is a good challenge for us to be able to identify what it is that students can do. And students have built partnerships with various counseling agencies. We had students that worked at or intern at the fire department, police department, the hospitals, carpentry. And at the end of the day, for me, when I can see a student who truly understands what it is that they want to do or see value in studying or getting into an apprenticeship, that to me is a win. So that piece is that community piece.
It makes sense. Expose them now, and parents, I'm sure you'll appreciate it on the other end, getting the opportunity for kids to try some of these things out so that they don't get a semester or a year into college and say,
Absolutely.
oops,
Yeah,
and then have to retake a bunch of courses, although we know that can still happen for sure, but the exposure, I think, is a key part, and it sounds like the high school team is hard at work on that.
And, and sometimes we reflect back at our own individual experiences to think about what is it that we wanted, and I'm not saying that drives everything that we do, because I think there's a lot of variables behind that. But just personally, in college, I switched my major 3 times, which is okay, but that didn't allow me to go study abroad in Australia because I was 1 credit short, and needed to do that in college prior to doing that. So having an opportunity or an internship to really think about various careers might have helped me, study in Australia for a junior year abroad. But
try something different.
Try something different. Yeah. So the other piece I just wanted to talk about was just a phrase that I always go back to when we think about high school is discover yourself. Because I think a lot of students, when they enter high school, it's an opportunity to really dig deeper into what it is that, who they are, what it is that they're looking to get into, really push themselves, take risks, find passions. And I think that we have, I have a couple buckets that I just wanted to talk about, but I do feel that we have a lot going on at the high school that provides a lot of opportunities for students that really want to take that on. So when we think about our program of studies, every year that looks different. And I think part of that is just knowing and understanding what the interests and needs of our students are. What is it that they want to study? And we have a little leeway and flexibility with our electives and our high school state graduation requirements. I mean, there's some core classes that they need to take, but there are some electives that students are able to take. So just wanted to highlight a few. We have students that are in a robotics program, and they're doing some competitive robotics, and there's a lot of hands-on inquiry-based pieces. There's a manufacturing engineering course. Students are in videography and photography. And what's really neat about the videography class is that we have a partnership with PBS Learning Labs. So students have done some site visits, real-world video capturing of the mills in Providence on Pawtucket. And that was highlighted on the PBS NewsHour station. But a lot of our students have been interviewed, and you see them on Saturday on Channel 2 News. So that really gets them to think about the real work, the relevance behind that, and that value behind there as well. We just introduced marketing and business. So we have an Intro to Marketing Business Entrepreneurship class. And that was honestly a push from our students. We surveyed students and they said, what's lacking here at the high school? We don't have anything with business entrepreneurship. So we were able to take that on with a teacher who has a passion for it. He was a marketing guru more into sports guru, but he is working with our students to really build business proposals and plans and getting them to really think about what that looks like. Computer science, we have an AP computer science course, and a bunch of other courses that are really important for our students. When we think about program development, Dr. Falco mentioned a few, but we have a manufacturing pipeline, again through the Blackstone Valley Ed Foundation, and we're looking to build on what manufacturing could look like for our high school students, because clearly there is a need in the community and in the state. There are jobs out there, but
many
jobs, and what we're hearing is that we don't have skilled employees to be able to fill that. So that's something that we've been able to take on, and again, we have 5 students out of 18 that are a part of that. We're looking at Project Lead the Way, which is, again, it's a pathway model for hands-on learning experiences. There's a module, there's units, there's online pieces behind that, and that's something that we're going to apply for. And then we also have been able to be part of the AP Mass Insight grant, which has really expanded our AP offerings, but more importantly is giving our staff professional development. So majority of our students or teachers that have taught AP have done some summer PD opportunities, 3-day sessions, and that also now includes for our students Saturday sessions at partnering schools, mock exams as part of that AP Mass Insight. And then finally, just thinking about our extracurriculars. Again, I do want to thank the towns for really supporting the arts, the athletics, the extracurriculars, but our music program, as many of you know, has been successful for many, many years, including this year. Looking forward to what they're doing. Our athletics program has just almost concluded the fall season, and we're in that competitive Dual Valley Conference League. But with the athletic piece, a lot of people talk about small schools and the lack of opportunities, but we've been able to be creative in being able to partner or co-op with several larger school districts to take on certain sports that we don't directly have, but swimming is a part of that now, lacrosse and hockey, which is great opportunities for some of our kids. Drama, performance or club, they're putting on Cinderella in the next, I think that's going to be in January. Student Council has a bunch of just student leaders that are actively engaged in state, regional conferences, and we actually have a few that are part of the state board. So really taking on greater leadership roles. Youth leadership conferences, we're constantly pushing for youth leadership conferences with a lot of our freshmen and sophomores, and looking at the MIA with our student athletes and getting involved that way. National Honor Society is always an intricate part of what we're doing here in terms of community service and being models for academic standing. So those are just a few of the highlights in terms of how students can truly discover who they are.
That's more than a few. I would argue for a high school that's our size, what an opportunity for kids. What an opportunity for kids to be able to drive the creation of new courses. I heard you say that you added the marketing and the business courses, and it came right from the kids. They identified that this is something they really wanted to do, and so you and your team went out and figured out how to do that. When I think about robotics, the PBS Learning Lab, of course the new marketing and business courses, computer science, all the AP courses, the manufacturing pipeline, the new Project Lead the Way that's coming on board, not to mention just the core instruction that you have, the core courses, your forensics courses and all the other opportunities that you didn't even mention here.
Marine bio, relatively new class.
And with your focus on helping kids become critical thinkers. Oh, and by the way, offering music, athletics, drama, student council. I would argue the student leadership opportunities here are second to none. I'm a bit speechless in terms of what you and the high school team is able to do for 400 kids.
Absolutely.
Programs of study like this, you tend to find in far larger suburban, urban districts. It is a lot to make all of this work. And so just my hat's off to you and the high school team to be able to put all of this together, because this is the last stop before the kids venture off into, whatever it is that they are going to pursue next. When I had an opportunity last year, I know I shared this with you, but for anybody that's tuning in, I met a few times last year with students in every building. And what I heard loud and clear from the students at the high school, which of course have shared with Mike since, was this notion of, you make sure we're ready for whatever it is we want to do next. And I thought that was really powerful. They said, we're not sure what that is yet. College, career, whatever we want to study, whatever we want to do, we don't know. But as the leaders of this building and the educators in this building, just make sure we are exposed to as much of that as possible. And what I'm hearing you say is, with an increased graduation rate, a decreased dropout rate, more focus on the individual student, creating these unique programs of study, what a privilege to be here as an educator and also as a student, because the opportunities just sound really impressive.
Absolutely.
And so we don't know if you have any questions, those of you that are tuning in, but by all means send the questions in as we're moving along here. Mike, what are some of the upcoming events? What are some of the big things we have going on? I think we have conferences coming up soon, I think.
We do. So
What's
that's
going
a good
on
point.
with some next steps here?
I have just a list of things. So end of first quarter is coming up on November 7th. So we've gone through one quarter.
That's amazing.
Which has been
10 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our winter sports meeting is coming up on November 6th. So that's at 6:30 in the auditorium. But we do have parent-teacher conferences, which is an interesting dynamic for some of our parents. But I think that a lot of you that have been at the middle school understand that there is an individual online setup for appointments. So November 13th, 4:30 to 7:30, and November 14th, 2:30 to 4:30 are parent-teacher conferences. And there will be a live link that will go out. I believe it was November 1st, that Monday. Maybe it's the 4th. I think November 4th.
Yes,
A link will go out, and it's an online platform where our students and parents can go and register and just choose the teachers that they want to do for appointments. And that to me really helped sort of with that experience that when I first came on board, parents were coming in, they were waiting in long lines, they had no idea when they were going to be able to see a teacher. Some of them were there for 3 hours and saw 2 teachers. This platform allows parents that are right on top of that schedule to be able to do that as well. So that's coming up, and then just one November 7th, we have a school council meeting. So I am looking for some parents to help out with school council, and that's from 5:30 to 6:30. So feel free to please email or call if you are interested in being part of school council.
We did get a question. Is that okay? Can I jump in on that? So Christine is asking if we know when the John and Abigail Adams scholarship letters will go out.
Oh, that's a great question. So. Interestingly enough,
we had a little curveball this year.
We did.
with the change in the test.
Yes, but those were the juniors. But our seniors, I actually received a box on my desk this morning from the John and Abigail Adams. We knew the list of recipients in the portal, but that wasn't made available to us until today. So that's going to be something I need to look at the calendar and think about when we could do that. But the results of the list is out and actually came on my desk this morning. So
awesome.
We'll
so
get
very
that
soon.
out. We'll have to get that on the next week or two.
Excellent.
Again, just a few events that are going on I just wanted to highlight. So we do have Veterans Day, no school on the 11th, but we have our half day on the 27th. So that's right before Thanksgiving. We have a community celebration day. It's a powder puff football game that we have on the track and field, and the students really like that. It's put on by our student council, but we're also looking to use that day to invite our 8th graders. So we're formalizing what that plan can look like, but we are looking to showcase what we're doing at the high school, have our middle school students come here. Those that are taking the bus would just get dropped off here at the high school, get picked up here, and then head over to the middle school to pick up the rest of our 6th and 7th grade. So that's going to be a big part and our Student Council National Honor Society is really taking that on to be able to showcase what we do here in the building.
And do you mind if I could just add on that?
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
it's really important to just underscore the fact that it sounds like now at BMR, there are career development opportunities for kids.
Sure.
It isn't just the notion of a comprehensive kind of traditional high school. Yes, it is that. And what I heard you say was when you graduate from BMR, you will have your diploma right? And that's kind of the direction in which we're moving. And so, as we're starting this work, I think it's really important for those students that are interested in career and technical development. We have great opportunities right here in your backyard in BMR. And so I think, I know that you're working with the middle school principal very closely to look at how to get our 8th graders exposed to those so they know, just so they understand. I think, one of the things we're learning is that there's a lot that our own students don't know about their local high school, about BMR. So I know that will be part of the work. And really, the 5 students that you mentioned that decided to take the advanced manufacturing course are freshmen.
Correct.
And they'll be taking advanced manufacturing 2 in the spring, and so on and so forth. And so, we will continue to look to build in those courses. And we know there's interest. We know our kids are really interested in career and technical development. And now there's more than one option. There is no longer that, that thought process of, oh, I would love to go to BMR, but I want to study something in the career and technical field. We are taking that work on, and we have opportunities for kids here. And I just wanted to highlight that because I do think that that's a significant shift. In addition to that, our students can stay with their peers. They can get involved in the different clubs and activities that BMR is really known for. They can take one of our variety of AP courses. And the offerings that we have here are second to none in terms of what the kids can participate in. So I just wanted to use that as, this kind of minute as an opportunity to underscore that, because I know you're working on those plans with the middle school principal.
Absolutely. No, I think just to add to that, I think one of the biggest strengths too that I often hear is just the relationships that our kids have with staff. And a lot of our staff members are actively engaged with extracurriculars, whether they're part of student council or drama or coach on the athletic field or in music. Our students have a really great relationship with staff members, and oftentimes you take that for granted until somebody walks into the building and says, "Wow, one, your students are well behaved. They're great individuals that really take to school and want to learn and build." But also just the relationship and the rapport that the students have with their staff, and that to me I think is really important in terms of that relationship building. And just to add, I think any time that we can provide any type of program or initiative or just an opportunity for students to learn, we'll take that challenge on.
Yeah.
And I think that internship opportunity was just one way of being able to do that. And I know, we're in the works of thinking about other opportunities, career opportunities for students, and really thinking about that career piece.
Well, I love how kids have voice.
Absolutely.
I know one of the things I thought that was a huge strength I noticed really early on last year, the kids spoke to me about a variety of surveys you had sent out to them to get their feedback. That's huge, and that doesn't happen everywhere. The kids have an opportunity to mold the landscape for their high school experience, and I just think that is such an important piece of the work that probably goes unnoticed as well at times.
I do get made fun of from staff and students about the amount of surveys that I put out there. Sometimes they tell me to just lay low a little bit and not get as much feedback. Exactly. But again, I think it's really important, and data drives everything that we do, and I think voice from students is a really big piece. I mean, just today I had, it was great to see this, but we have a class, it was media journalism, and one of the assessments
that we offer here.
Correct.
Yep, that's
and
incredible.
And one of the major projects is that the students are able to go and create some sort of service learning opportunity or like an independent proposal.
Sure, yeah.
And I had 2 students that beat me to school today, waiting for me because I missed them yesterday at 2:05, and asked about a community club, and they want to do anything that they can in the building, off campus, in the community to really just celebrate everything that we're doing. It's not just that community outreach and cleanup but they have ideas upon ideas, and sometimes I question why they're coming to me and asking for permission. When you see that hesitancy with them, that they don't want to ask, I'm open to ideas as long as that there's a plan behind that and somebody that can support them, and not feeling nervous about an idea that they have, because there's a lot that's out there for them.
And so just as we start to wrap up this evening, I just want to remind folks, if you have any questions, by all means, please send them in. But it sounds like BMR is the place to be, as far as I can hear.
Absolutely.
In terms of opportunities for kids, voice that children and students have in terms of shaping the landscape of the school. One of the things you said early on that really stuck with me in our discussion tonight was the fact that your program of study changes year to year based on what the kids are interested in. Again, I would challenge most high schools to be able to match that.
Absolutely.
I think that is a significant opportunity for kids if there's something that they want to study, something they want to do, something they want to take on. That idea of putting that proposal together, getting those thoughts and ideas together, and really starting to tease them out. That there's a good shot we'll be able to execute on that and move forward with it.
Absolutely. Just another thought while we're sitting here, just waiting for any questions or any talking points, but thinking about how we can better communicate with families at home. When I first started, Facebook was a big thing. I know we have a district Facebook page that we add a lot of different things to, but I'm a big Twitter guy. I have a profile. It's at BMR Go Chargers. So I'm not sure if anyone's on Twitter, but I use it as a great way for professional development and just seeing what's out there in neighboring districts. But it's also a way for me to celebrate everything that's happening in our buildings and even outside. So if you are looking for more information or what's happening on an ongoing basis, I'm regularly tweeting, and if you go to our website, you'll see that there's a little feed right now. Currently, it's on the right side of the page. I know our website is changing to a different platform, that'll be a great opportunity. But if anyone that's into social media, Twitter is what I'm doing to really celebrate the day in and day out.
That's great.
Of that.
And so just, we don't have any more questions, so just a couple of quick things as we start to wrap up. Our next Facebook live stream will be December 16th at 6 p.m. and we will be highlighting our middle school. And so actually, I didn't tell Mike this, but we do have a little competition going. So Jill Pilagalrani, our Director of Learner Services, last month she had 599 views, so we're hoping maybe Mr. Duda can beat that.
We'll see.
With this month's episode. So we'll see how that works. And then on the 16th of December at 6 p.m., we'll be highlighting our middle school. But before that, we would like to invite everybody to our Thankful for Being a District of One Thanksgiving dinner, family style kind of supper on November 21st. Doors open at 5 p.m. And there'll be more information that goes home about that. Last year we had just about 200 of our community members, parents and their students and their parents and families join us for a nice sit-down Thanksgiving meal, and it was a really great time. We had to listen to the band and break bread together. So we certainly invite everybody to that, and we'll be sending home information for that. So if there's nothing else, we'll wrap up our stream, and just want to thank everybody again for inviting us into your homes, and I hope that you found this really informative. And as you can see, our high school has so much to offer our youth. So we look forward to continuing to grow in number and grow in programs and opportunities for kids. And we will see you next month. Thanks so much.
Thank you.